Hey guys, Hello Bella, and this is an update for you on my low buy year that I completed in 2023. I set out to question what I was buying, how I was buying it, where I was buying it from, if I needed to buy it, and all kinds of questions that, you're trying to deal with when you're trying to think about capitalism, anti-consumption, and just being a minimalist in general and having less things in my house that cause me clutter mentally and physically, because I believe that if your space is crowded, every surface you own is covered, it's really not a good way to live. I've actually gone through the process this past December of throwing away 100 different items from my house just to kind of have that final reset for 2024. And going into this year, I feel really good about my shopping habits. Today, I'm actually planning to go shopping, so I thought it was kind of a good time to make this video because when I'm going shopping now, it's sort of a purposeful trip. Even if the purpose is to enjoy myself, it's done a little bit more delicately in terms of saying, okay, what are you going to come home with? How much are you willing to spend? And what is the ultimate goal of what you're buying? Is what you're buying meant to give you that hit of dopamine? Is it meant to help you organize your life? Is it something that's going to bring you joy? And just thinking about it in terms of a purposeful purchase has really helped me in the long run. My biggest regret of 2023 in terms of the challenge was not realizing that I need to be grateful every day for what I actually have. Honestly, I feel like I overlook how good my life is a lot. I have a house, I have a successful business, I have a relationship that I'm happy in, I have a stable neighborhood and home environment for the most part. I have 3 dogs that I love, I have a good family, and all of those things that are intangible and things you can't buy are things that really bring my life the best joy that I have, but sometimes we just kind of overlook what that is. And I've definitely had a lot of issues with my health, and that sort of made me realize, like, hey, you need to put a genuine focus on this, because generally as we age, our health is not going to get any better. So that's something that I'm really wanting to focus on in 2024. So retail therapy is common in my family. If you want to celebrate something, or if you're just not feeling that good, or you just want to get out of the house, retail therapy was how I learned to deal with feelings. And so I realized that retail therapy is not actual therapy, believe it or not. I went to actual therapy in 2023. And so it really helped me to kind of see, like, why am I feeling like this quiet, uncomfortable feeling in the evenings? And why am I feeling so, like, just pent up stress and energy and emotion that needed to go somewhere? And a lot of times I would deal with that by going to the store. And so I've really tried to break that habit of just going out when I don't feel comfortable sitting with my feelings. And I'm happy to say that that is really not my go-to at this point. I've really tried to practice kind of sitting with myself, as uncomfortable as it is sometimes. I feel like it's really been helpful for my mental health to kind of just say, like, okay, acknowledge that you are feeling a little bit like stressed and anxious, and that going to the store is really not going to help you in the long run. So my main goal was to stop buying clothes and what I would call like trinkets and crap from a thrift store, and I've really kind of dialed down on that. One of my things is that I go to the thrift store to make my living, so it's really hard to pass up on what I would consider deals and steals and things like that. So I've really had to say, like, okay, is this something that I actually need, or is this just something that I find kind of cool? And so one thing I've told myself is that you can appreciate something without buying it. You can look at it, say, this is nice, this is really cool, and sometimes I'll even tell myself, like, oh, leave it for the next person. Leave it for someone else to find and for someone else to get joy out of. So with my declutter list, I just picked a page that had 1 through 100, and I literally wrote down 100 things in my house that I wanted to get rid of. And I went by one as I got rid of things. I went through all of my different pens and pencils that like didn't write anymore and threw those away. So in 2024, I no longer have to pull out a pen that doesn't work. I went through things in my office. I threw away hangers that I didn't like if you hang up your clothes and like they keep falling off, threw all those away, so I don't have to deal with that anymore. I threw away things I had extras of, so if I have like 2 or 3 of something, I just kept the best one and got rid of the rest. I threw away bras, I threw away tennis shoes, I threw away old like socks and underwear, I threw away like beauty products that I didn't like anymore, things that I had gotten on fill a bag day. I basically go to this Amazon return outlet, and they have a day where you can fill a bag, and so I wound up coming home with all this stuff that I don't necessarily use but also don't want to throw away. So one thing that I've found to combat that would be to potentially build like a little free pantry. So I'm thinking about doing that in February. I'm actually kind of looking into that, setting that up, because I typically in reselling, I have a lot of waste and I don't want it to go in the trash, but there's not really a great way to get rid of it. I mean, I can donate it, but I feel like the thrift store marks up the price and the people who ultimately need it don't wind up getting it. So I'm really trying to figure out a way that I can circumvent the thrift store in terms of my donation efforts. But just doing an exercise like this, you realize how much crap you actually have in your house. There's so much stuff here, especially now that Daniel moved in a year ago. As combined, just having 2 people here, you realize that, like, gosh, we really do have a lot. And so just being thankful for that and being able to recognize like abundance has been something that is important to me. I think especially when it comes to stocking up, because I am one to say, like, if something's on sale, I will buy a lot of it to feel like I got a good deal on it and feel like, okay, I'm restocked. And like right now I only have the deodorant that I'm currently using, and y'all don't even know how much of a big deal that is, because normally I'll have like 5 or 6 deodorants like put away so that I can, you know, just get another one out. So right now I only have the one that I have, and it's kind of been tough to find that balance of like, yes, I do want to save money, but it's not necessarily saving money if you're always stocking up on everything. And so I've been kind of towing the line with that. And I've also wanted to talk to you about my Amazon purchases. So I actually printed out all of the stuff that I bought on Amazon all year. It's all of these different lines on a spreadsheet. And so I actually spent $2,355 on Amazon in 2023. That accounts for 7% of all of my spending. A lot of it was like things that we buy, like coffee pods, or, you know, like our protein shakes and things like books, different types of medical stuff that I needed. But I mean, in general, I wanted to kind of talk about, like, is it ethical to buy everything from Amazon when Amazon is basically known for treating their workers poorly, exploiting people, and just honestly just being a terribly, I guess, like, unethical company. And what I'm really struggling with is that the best price is usually on Amazon for things that I'm looking for, but I feel like this kind of weird guilt about shopping there now that I'm kind of becoming aware of like how their business practices affect literal just people. And so I'm kind of wrestling with that. I also thought, you know, I can't win at everything. You know, I can't look at every single purchase I make, or I'm going to drive myself crazy. So I feel like there is a line there that you have to walk. But I am going to try, I think, in 2024 to kind of see, like, what can I get locally and how can I get more locally. I'm not going to pay more for it because I'm not in that kind of financial position where I can just pay up for things just because. But I am going to try to actually be a little bit more mindful. One of the things I was thinking about was the dog food that we buy, because I usually order that off Amazon, and I'm like, well, is there a local place that I can get it for around the same price? Because that's something that I buy over and over again throughout the year. And so, you know, having that add up to hundreds of dollars that I'm giving a corporation, I mean, I know I'm going to give it to a business in general, that's fine with me, but, you know, giving it to a smaller business that makes a more meaningful impact locally would be better for me, I feel like, in terms of like feeling good about what I'm buying and where I'm spending my money. So it says the total spent in 2023 on shopping was $768, or $64 a month. And I think that one of the things I wanted to do is kind of go over how much I spent this whole year. This is my little spending sheet. And it says that I spent $34,373 this year. That's basically every penny that I spent to live. This is not including running my business. That's a separate thing, and my taxes are separate with that. But each category, you know, kind of tells a story about where my money went this year. In particular, you know, I've spent $1,114 on my animals. I include boarding, vet bills, grooming, food, treats, and foster animals, because I've had 4 different foster kittens in 2023. And then also on my car, I spent $6,327 for my car payments, my insurance, my gas and maintenance, and my AAA membership, because I love having that roadside assistance. And one of the things I also set out to do was to make extra car payments in 2023 to pay off my car sooner. And I'm now over 50% paid off. I think I have about maybe around $5,000 left to pay on my car. I paid $900 extra in December, and that's something that I wouldn't be able to do if I was just spending all of my extra money on stuff. So being able to dwindle down the debt that I have and be able to be debt free in 2024 is a big goal of mine. One of the things I struggled with this year, it's silly, but it's just candles. Let you take a look at the candle stuff. I guess you could say candles are one of my hobbies at this point. I know it's kind of it seems like overconsumption, and whenever I see people stacking things along the wall like cups and tumblers and Starbucks cups, it does seem really excessive, and I'd like to get to the point where I don't do this and I make this more of an experience where I go out and buy one at a time. But I did get joy out of picking these out, and then of course some of these are not all mine. Sometimes Daniel takes them to his office, so we do split them up, and I usually have one burning in my room, and then sometimes I'll have an office one. So I do think we'll go through these in about 6 months, but I think I'm gonna have to put myself on a candle buying ban until I get through some of these and just say hey, you need to use what you have before you go out and buy anything else. So while I did struggle with the candles, I did not do really badly when it comes to makeup and hair products. I think I spent about $100 this year on all of my makeup and hair stuff. That is something that I'm proud of, because I used to spend hundreds of dollars a year on makeup from Ulta and Sephora, and I don't think I looked very much different. So just being able to recognize that that money is better spent on things that actually matter to me, like taking a trip or buying something for my health, is really a better way to spend my money. The makeup that I did buy, I bought probably a few things that were brand new, and then I bought things from liquidation and things from Overstock and outlet type stores to save money. One of the things that I really love seeing on TikTok is the de-influencing trend, which is basically saying you don't need that, you don't need this, you don't need the newest Stanley Cup, you don't need to line the walls of your house with this crap, and you don't need the newest trendiest thing all the time. This stuff is coming and going faster than we can actually produce it and use it. So being able to kind of get on that side of TikTok has been nice, if you know what I mean. Being able to see there are people who do align with what I'm trying to do and who do get it and who do understand, even if family and friends don't necessarily get it. I think just having other people to talk to has been really helpful. And I will say that this Christmas, I think my family did less than they usually do. Part of that being that I traveled for Christmas, so I've been making it a habit to go out of town for Christmas, because I really don't like the stress of Christmas. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of financial pressure on people to give. I've never really loved that concept of performative giving, and so I think just being able to step away from it and say this is something that I don't really want to participate in, it's something that I don't care that much about and that I don't want to lean into as I get older. I'm trying to set those expectations now that I'm not going to be that aunt or that cousin or that family member who's throwing money at everybody. I wish that I was able to, and if I had intense amounts of wealth, I would certainly share it. But at this point in my life, I think that it's important to take care of you and your immediate family before you take care of anyone else. So I did break my rule about trying to thrift quarterly for clothing. It just doesn't work in terms of how I find things at the thrift store for me personally, because I go there to resell, and so I'll find things for myself on each trip. So that didn't really fit into the way that I shop, but I did realize that I could return and exchange clothing. So I've been doing that throughout the year, and I think I've saved about $200 doing that. Most of the clothes that I buy are in the $3 to $10 range, so I never really spend a ton of money in general, but being able to take something back has added up throughout the year. So I'm glad that I did pay attention to that. Initially, I had said I need to try on everything at the thrift store, but I just know that doesn't work because there's too much friction. It's too stressful. There's always a line. And so from now on, I've been returning things that do not fit when I get home. I usually try it on first thing, and if it doesn't work for me, I'll put it in the bag with the receipt by the door so that I remember it for my next trip. One tip I have is that in terms of spending money on going out to eat and food and stuff like that, that wasn't really the main focus of my no-buy year, but I do feel that keeping snacks and water and things in my car has helped me not just buy convenience food, because convenience food is priced so high that you are paying a penalty for not being prepared. So just being prepared in every area of life tends to save you money. Fixing things before they break, maintenance on your car, just taking care of what you already have is so important in terms of if you protect the things that matter to you and you take good care of them, you're not going to have to replace them as often. So I did still spend money on gifts and travel and things that just I like to do, and I didn't beat myself up about it because that's not the purpose of this challenge. The purpose was to ask myself, why do I want to go to the store? What am I looking for? What is this going to do for me? And so being able to kind of be real with myself has been helpful throughout the year, especially seeing like, how does stuff make me feel? Does this make me feel better about myself? Is this somehow, making my life easier? Or is this just something that I'm doing to try to keep up with the Joneses and to keep up with all of these influencers? And ultimately, y'all don't see my life. Like, my life is in this little house in Alabama. And so I don't know, it's kind of funny when you think about the projection of your image to the internet versus who you actually are, who you actually care about, and who you actually interact with. Because for me, my life consists of pretty simple interactions between my family and friends, and then every now and then interactions with people in public. But the online presence that I have, I started to think about that in terms of like, what does this mean? Who am I trying to show this to? Why am I taking pictures for Instagram? And so one of the things I did was a digital declutter all of my apps and pictures from my phone, things that I just asked myself, why did you take this picture in the first place? And one thing that I'm trying to do is, if I'm taking pictures or recording video, I want to have a purpose to that, because if I'm just recording it in the moment, I'm missing the moment. So just being able to say like, okay, is this content driven? Am I doing this to put something on YouTube or on TikTok or whatever? Or am I just doing this out of habit? Because a habit of taking pictures of your food, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, because unless you're going to post that immediately, what are you taking the picture for? Because the meal is the memory, I guess, but like, I don't know, it's kind of strange the way that our culture is evolving to kind of document everything. And I do like some parts of that. I think it can be impactful to look back on who you are and who you've become, but I do want to be a little bit more mindful about what I'm sharing and the purpose behind that in 2024. I want my content to be education based, and I want people to learn from my channel. If they are going to sit down and take up the time to watch me instead of anyone else, I want it to be for a reason. I want it to have a positive impact on their life. One thing that we did in 2023 was we took a month-long vacation to the beach, and I feel like my no-buy definitely contributed to that, because I thought, like, what are my priorities? How can I nail down what actually matters to me and create a life that I feel is successful in my own way? And how can I do the things that I've always wanted to do and stop putting them off? Because ultimately, money is a resource that we have, and that obviously you have to have money to be able to do things and to be able to function in society. But I think money is something that we all look at with like, well, there's never enough. But if there's never enough, then there's never going to be enough, whether you make $40,000 a year or $400,000 a year. So just kind of being able to say like, look, this is what I've got and this is what I want to do, and be able to find a way to do that, I feel like has been important for me this past year. Being able to take that trip meant so much to us for our relationship and for our development in terms of deciding where we want to live. We want to live closer to the beach. And so I feel like just being able to do that with my partner and not worrying about money the whole time, because I was able to kind of set money aside, has been extremely beneficial for us. So it looks like most of my money in 2023 either went to my car, to my medical expenses, or to my house. Those were my three biggest categories that I spent money on. Medical, I wound up having a breast augmentation surgery that I paid cash for, so that was about a little under $8,000, and I also had, health insurance and things like that. So my total medical cost for 2023 was $11,313. So that was roughly 1/3 of the money that I spent in 2023. But I mean, if you think about it in terms of like, what is the most important thing I have? It's my health. So, I mean, overall, I feel like my priorities were in order. I feel like my money spent was directed towards where I wanted it to go. I feel like, I do think that I could have spent a little bit more money on education and a little bit more money on, things that would have made my life easier or better in the long run. But I can definitely see where money did go and how things went in that direction. So I think just having this record has been really helpful. So I want to close by saying that it's natural for you to want to shop and you to want to have nice things, for you to want to have pretty things and beautiful things in your house. And so I really value that. I feel like when I look around and see the space that like I crafted that represents me and my outlook on life, I am happy with it. And some of the things that I do buy make me happy, but it's because it's a reflection of me and my inner world, not necessarily because that thing is what makes me me. And so going into 2024, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. I don't think I have to set out to do a low buy. I think this is going to come second nature to me now, especially since I've put so much thought into it. And as I go shopping today, I even texted my mom and I said, "What are you shopping for?" You know, just casually. And, you know, she kind of told me. And so I'm kind of thinking, well, what am I shopping for? What are we doing? Is this to spend time together? Is this to get out of the house? Is this to, you know, set ourselves up for a new month? And so whatever the case may be, just kind of think about what your focus is. And I do think that we have a natural tendency to fill spaces. If you buy a shelf, it's typical for you to put things on it. So I guess my philosophy would be to stop buying shelves in 2024 if you want to stop filling things up, and to do a inventory of what you already have. Make sure that you cull through everything in your, you know, your drawers, your cabinets, your kitchen, your bathrooms, your bedrooms, your clothing. Go through everything and just make an inventory of what is it that I have, what is it that I'm looking to gain from buying more, or what can I get rid of? Because getting rid of things feels so good. And if you struggle with it, you know, you might need to do some more deeper work on yourself. Maybe ask yourself, why do I feel like I'm holding on to this stuff so tight? What is it about losing this stuff that's going to make me feel like I'm losing something important? If you guys are curious about doing your no buy or low buy year, there's a ton of good videos on YouTube about it, but honestly, you can over prepare for something and you can psych yourself out. So if you want to start it, just start it. Don't worry too much about it. Just get into it. Make your rules or make your goals. What do you want this to look like? How can this impact you? And what do you think it will feel like at the end of a year if you actually do complete this goal? Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you have a wonderful 2024. I hope that everything you set out to do works out for you, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Take care.